Chapter 1 of Rose Mather, A Tale. 1. The War Meeting. The long disputed point as to whether the South was in earnest or not was settled, and through the northern states the tidings flew that Sumter had fallen and the war had commenced. With the first gun which boomed across the waters of Charleston Bay it was ushered in, and they who had cried "Peace, peace," found at last there was no peace. Then, and not till then, did the nation rise from its lethargic slumber and shake off the delusion with which it had so long been bound. Political differences were forgotten. Republicans and Democrats struck the friendly hand, pulse beat to pulse, heart throbbed to heart, and the watchword everywhere was, "The Union forever." Throughout the length and breadth of the land were true loyal hearts, and as at Roderick Dhu's command the Highlanders sprang to view from every clump of heather on the wild moors of Scotland, so when the war cry came up from Sumter our own Highlanders arose, a mighty host, responsive to the call. Some from New England's templed hills with hands inured to toil, and hearts as strong and true as flint; some from the Empire, some the Keystone State, and others from the prairies of the distant West. It mattered not what place had given them birth. It mattered little whether the green mountains of Vermont, the granite hills of New Hampshire, or the shadowy forests of Wisconsin had sheltered their childhood's home. United in one cause they rallied round the Stars and Stripes and went forth to meet not a foreign foe, but, alas, to raise a brother's arm against another brother's arm in that most dreadful of all anarchies, a national civil war. In the usually quiet village of Rockland the utmost interest was felt, and though there, as elsewhere, were many whose hearts beat as warmly for their southern friends as when the sun shone on a nation at peace, all felt the necessity of action, and when at last the evening came in which the first war meeting of that place was to be held, a dense and promiscuous crowd wended its way to the old brick church whose hallowed walls echoed to the sound of fife and drum, strange music for the house of God, but more acceptable in that dark hour than songs of praise sung by vain and thoughtless lips. In the center of the church the men were mostly congregated, while the seats nearest the door were occupied by the women, the wives and mothers and sisters who had come with aching hearts to see their brothers, sons, and husbands give their signatures to what seemed their sure death warrant. Conspicuous among these was Widow Sims, whose old-fashioned leghorn with its faded green veil was visible at all public gatherings, its broad frill of lace shading a pair of sharp grey eyes and a rather peculiar face. It was very white now, and the thin lips were firmly compressed as the widow tried to look resolute and unconcerned when two of her sons—
Sample complete. Ready to continue?